In this episode, I get to speak with Jean-Paul Anderson, co-founder of D4A Media. Marketing is a very important element for any business. However, advertising and marketing in the legal industry, it's its own formula. Listen in for more. Need an extra set of hands for a case that requires a little more investigation work? Check out our proud sponsor of Season 3, Affirm Investigative Solutions, where you get the tailored and personal care for your case when you need it most. With over 10 years of experience, Affirm Investigative Solutions makes the process easy. Set up a call, develop a plan, and then execute that plan. Affirm Investigative Solutions, the litigation partner that has your back. Hi, welcome to the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast. I'm Etta, your host, and today's guest is the one, the only Jean-Paul. I can say that name all day because I'm practicing my French. But he is actually an amazing innovator, has a very, I want to say relatable story, because at least I know in my end, it's very relatable, very unforgettable story. So we're going to start off with who he is, the person behind the whole D4A Media, and what D4A Media is, how it was created, the all ins and outs, and really what gap it alleviates. Because as you guys know, our podcast is to relieve the gap between our legal studies and our legal practices. So welcome, with no further ado, Jean-Paul. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Excited. I'm very excited. I could actually feel the blood pumping through my veins right now.
Awesome. Hopefully that is not nervousness, because we like to strive to make our guests as comfortable as possible, which is why we always add that casual element to our podcast. And so, like I said in the introduction, you have a very interesting, relatable, yet unique, right? And I guess people will understand that once you actually state your story. And that's really what intrigues me about D4A in the first place, because I always, like I was saying before the recording, our businesses are created by us, by our thoughts, by our innovations, by our creative, thought system. And so really in pouring ourselves in our business is what creates our success at the end, because at the end of the day, they're hiring the person behind the business. There might be other businesses out there that may offer similar or same services, but they won't offer it the way that you do. So they're going to hire you because of the person that actually runs the company. So tell us a little bit about you, who Jean-Paul is, and really how we got to the D4A Media platform.
Absolutely. So basically, a regular guy, was raised in California, a lot of big dreams, a lot of celebrities, a lot of different types of pulls that you get as you're growing up, and because of that, because of so many different things going on throughout growing up, I had a really hard time focusing on school and education and homework and trying to prosper and really grow with my education. So what I did instead, without realizing, because I was a kid, I guess, is I got really good at making friends. I got really good at communicating with people, at selling products. I remember in my school we used to have fundraisers where we would sell boxes of chocolate, and I'm sure you can relate as well. I was always either on the second or third place of the entire school, and that was because I was driven. I really enjoyed selling, and I just enjoyed giving back and teaching other people how I did it and what I would say, what was my script and stuff like that. And so because of that, I'm at where I'm at now. I'm the owner of 2 companies. I have a couple of other companies that I also co-own with other people, but they're fairly new, so they're taking off. But in order to get to where I'm at, you really have to dedicate and you have to sacrifice. And that's where a lot of people don't see. It's the amount of sacrifice that's put into into this. And growing up, it was really not easy because I wasn't able to focus in school. I was put in, special education classes. I remember even the teacher one time calling me to read out loud in history. I think I was like in third grade, and the teacher was calling me. I was like next to read. And I could just remember like my blood in my stomach, just, it was the worst feeling in the world. And the reason for that was because I didn't have confidence in my reading abilities and my writing abilities. And it took me a long time to realize how important those things are. I actually think that I realized after high school, it wasn't even during school. So for about, I believe, 6 or 8 years, I was in these types of special education classes. And it was the most embarrassing thing. I, always made sure that no one saw me go into these classes. And that was for 8 years. So every single day, Monday through Friday, making sure that people, didn't see me walk into the special ed class or anything like that. And what I realized when I was there and I was taking these classes was that a lot of the people that were also in my class, they actually had talent. Yes, there were some people that had a difficult time with learning, or they had some type of disability, but because we were put next to people who had these issues, we were actually able to help them, as well as them helping us realize that humans have a really difficult time, focusing with everything that's going on with the digital space. And I mean, this was like back in 2000, so or even in the 90s, late 90s. And we've just had such a difficult time growing up and focusing on everything that has to do with school and growing up and being a successful person in the community. And that's because there's so much going on all the time. There's always, people are trying to, grab your attention and sell you these products. And to be honest, I fell in love with it. And I really enjoyed advertising and marketing and sales and just building a network and community. So basically that's how I got to where I'm at. Yeah.
I love it. It reminded me of a statement that one of my daughter's teachers told me last year when we were doing a parent teacher conference, and we sat down and we had no idea this was one of our first ones, with this teacher, and she was new, so we didn't know her. And so we're sitting there and we're talking to her. And at the end of the conversation, she said a statement that I didn't really realize. And I was kind of embarrassed of it because education is my platform. We are educating our legal professionals and empowering them at the same time. That's literally the heartbeat of Etta Rosa LLC and the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast. But to not look at education in this statement that she stated is they come to school not only to learn the foundation, but to learn about socializing. So how to socialize, how to interact with other children, other personalities, how to really transform themselves and develop themselves socially. And she goes, that is a very intricate part of how the other side of the coin will develop. So confidence issues, not being able to understand something because you're multilingual, or you have a hearing impairment or a vision impairment. There's a lot of children that wear glasses now at an early age. So understanding all these, I don't want to say obstacles, but all these different challenges that a variety, and I guess a cultivating or impactful moment in our children's lives that we don't understand, and yet we lived it, right? So we all look at life in a different light, right? And we all look at the same situation differently, and that's what makes us human. That's what makes us grow. That's what makes us change. So that's really what I took from that story that you just stated. So knowing that background and knowing the obstacles that you had to overcome and those hurdles that you had to jump through, and yet you're still here, you are creating these amazing platforms in multiple things, not just the legal industry. I'm assuming it's in other different industries as well, given that you're so eclectic as a personality. I'm assuming that you're very eclectic in choosing your partnerships. So let's talk a little bit more about how that history of yours, about the marketing and the advertisement that drew you because of really interacting with other humans, let's just put it that way, and really teaching them what you have to say, how that developed into what's now the D4A Media.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so, growing up, I wanted to be an attorney. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a police officer. Eventually, what I learned was that it's important to share, knowledge, to share information with other people or other, professionals out there. And the reason for that is because at the end of the day, it's really about giving back to your community. And it's about being an example, almost kind of like a big brother, to everybody else who's, even having a hard time. Or, I remember how difficult it can be to feel lost, to just feel like anything new, it just becomes such an anxiety. And that's the problem, and that's the issue with a lot of folks, is that they don't jump into something, or they don't just take the risk and learn from their mistakes. At the end of the day, there's mistakes and there's, successes, and either one of those, you're going to learn something out of it. So I always feel that it's a win-win situation, even when you fail. And in regards to like a whole deep break media, I was growing up, my family was involved in medical legal, I guess the industry of it, the personal injury side. And at the time, it didn't really impact me as much as it did when I was a lot older and was involved in an accident. And that accident kind of just changed my life. I mean, back then I was a project manager for a commercial real estate company, and I was out for lunch, and a person that I guess was texting or something just ran a red light as I was crossing the intersection on a green light, and it was bad. It took almost three years for me to get back to, living my life prior to the accident. And so because of that, I remember after the accident, the first like 6 months, it was really difficult to find, providers. It was really difficult to find physicians who would treat you for, car accident injuries. And I realized that there needed to be like a Yelp or some type of directory out there that is easy to use for anybody out there that you can find, physicians that work on a lean basis. Because here in California, everything is on a lean base. I know in different states they have different laws, but that was, the idea behind D4A Media was to be easy for the public to find help or to find answers, and that's really what we stand for. Sometimes we get people who call us who were just involved in an accident. And the number one thing that we always suggest is to speak, of course, get medical treatment, go to, a hospital, urgent care if need be. But it's always important for you to speak to an attorney, because at the end of the day, insurance companies and everything else around insurance it's a business, and they want to save as much as they can, or remove credibility from people to try to make it look like, they're exaggerating. But it's really important for you to, speak to an attorney, and as well as get some type of healthcare, some type of, medical treatment. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like often, especially now that all these talks about, and I know California is at the forefront of it now, with affordability, right? Getting access to affordable legal assistance, and, all these high priced attorneys and things like that. Personal injury is a whole different animal when it comes to that, because it's mostly based on contingency. So the affordability factor is already there. They're only going to take money from you, and that's across the board. They're only going to take money if they settle your case, and they're going to take it from your settlement. And of course, we have, legal funding, which if you guys haven't heard that episode, please do so. We do have someone, Josh Polaco, which, he owns a legal funding company, and we talk about what legal funding is about, all that. So check that episode out too. But understanding that there are other options to affordable legal assistance, and that not every practice in law is the same. So personal injury, generalizing it, of course, is mostly based on contingency, which means they're only going to take a portion from the settlement. But, most of the time, real estate, you always have your retainers, and you'll have your hourly rates and all that good stuff. So understanding the difference as well, and kind of educating yourself. A lot of people like there's a huge company over here, and I'm not going to put them on my platform, but it's a really big personal injury law firm that's been around for years. And they're always promoting that, like, we don't get paid unless you get paid. Well, that's everybody, like that's every personal injury attorney. So, so understanding that, the advertisements of the world and everything like that. And that kind of ties into the whole D4A media, understanding that marketing and advertising for, I guess, accurately and not like deceivingly, I feel is very important. So a lot of people gear to what they see the most, right? They say, I think my marketing strategist told me that the person has to see you 7 times in 7 different ways on average to actually like gain your attention and actually gain your business. So, you see them on the billboard, you see them on the, bus stops, you see them on the buses, you'll see them, in the radio stations, or now even on podcast ads. And, so you see them in all these different platforms, social media, pop-ups, ads, you name it. And you're like, oh, wow, they're pretty credible if they're everywhere. But that's not really the case, right? That's really like, okay, so what are they? So people really have to do their research as well, choosing what attorney, what all this at, because we can get super creative. And maybe you can chime in on this since you are the marketing advertisement specialist. But people get super creative on how they advertise and sometimes lose sight of the actual core values and the mission of the actual company, right? So tying all that in, I think that was a natural organic segue of advertising and marketing in the legal industry. So talk a little bit more about that, how that world works, because a lot of people, they don't see that portion of it, right? As legal professionals, we're in the nitty gritty. We're also most of the time we're looking for these providers as well. Trying to find providers for our clients, or we're looking for expert witnesses, all these things that we need in order to successfully close the case and get paid, because we're not getting paid otherwise. So explain how the advertisement and marketing portion of that world kind of looks like, and then maybe tie that in.
Yeah, absolutely. So so currently a lot of advertisement with law offices and even physicians, but mainly the law offices are tied into digital marketing. It used to be television, radio ads. It used to have all these different bells and whistles that you would hear, these music chimes that you would hear that would not make people, but get people either interested, or they would remember the jingles of a certain law firm. And so whenever they were involved in an accident, they would contact that law firm. And those are the things that in marketing and advertising, that's what you want. You want to be able to be remembered, and you want to, have people contact you and, schedule a call and convert into a lead, and, have them sign your retainer and all that good stuff. Now, what I have noticed is that a lot of law offices are doing it wrong. And either their marketers are not being straight up with them, or they don't have enough experience. And one thing that I want to clarify is that a website is really a business card. It's really a way for anybody to put your information out there of, your company culture, who you are, what you stand for, what you've been able to accomplish. But that's really about it. If you're looking to convert leads, that's not the way to do it. You want to focus in on a little secret, which some of you might know and some of you might not know. And that has to do with what's called either click funnels or sales funnels, or even marketing funnels.
It's a whole different animal.
It's a whole different animal. Those are the sites that actually convert. And the reason for that is because it's almost like, as a user, somebody searching for an attorney or a doctor or anything like that, they go into these, sales funnel sites, and the user experience makes them feel like they're talking to someone on a one-on-one basis. And so they get more and more curious. And as they keep scrolling down, there's case studies, there's examples of, what could happen if you don't talk to an attorney, or what could happen if you talk to, an attorney, what the different outcomes are, how they could help you find a physician. And those types of click funnels or sales funnels sites are the ones that convert into leads. So if you're an attorney out there, definitely look into click funnels or sales funnels. Yeah, or something like that. in order to convert more leads. Absolutely.
I love it. And then you mentioned a really good point that I want to kind of explore a little more, because we kind of skimmed through it, but I feel it's important for the audience to understand hiring people that actually know the industry. So it's it kind of goes with everything, right? So if you're going to hire a business consultant, make sure they know your business, make sure they're not asking all these different types of questions and you're like, but you should know this, why are you asking me this? Right then and there, that should be a red flag. But same goes with marketing, hiring a marketing specialist, hiring a business consultant, hiring a team, right? So even your staff members, understanding the human resource department and all this, so it all ties right back into hiring someone that actually knows what they're doing, that actually has done it before, that brings you results, right? So, hey, we've done this pattern before. Yes, we'll tweak it and tailor it to obviously you specifically, but these have been the outcomes. This has been, kind of what that led to. And then obviously you tweak it, right? If they want organic marketing, or if they want, the Google ads of the world, or the Facebook ads, or whatever, the paid advertisement. And I only know this because I went through like 5 million marketing strategists until I finally found someone that really understood me. Everybody's like, well, what's taking you so long? I'm like, nobody understands my business, because I'm not a law firm, but I'm also not just offering paralegal services. So I'm kind of in this space where it's new, it's, and not really patterns have been there before, because I'm in this general non-lawyer space. And I'm not a court reporter, I'm not a private investigator, so you can't there's really nothing, no mapping. So, finding somebody that can take your vision and bring it to life is hard, right? So just like software, just like anything else that we just mentioned, really understanding that you need to hire the right people for the right positions kind of goes in like general, right? So in your entire business. So talk about maybe some red flags in particular to advertisement and marketing, kind of, especially legal, right? Because even though the legal industry pours into every other industry, it's its own niche. And then especially personal injury, that's even a different, animal. So kind of explore that and really walk us through understanding hiring the right person or the right company. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, anybody out there who, even any business owners, right now we're focusing on law firms and doctors and stuff like that. The important thing is to read and learn and watch as many YouTube videos, follow as many of these, high yielding mentors who, already have experience, who have already known how to build some type of lead generation or some type of, marketing campaign specifically for, your company. And the one thing that I learned, and my team, of course, was, in the beginning, we didn't know anything about websites. We went in there, this was like 6-7 years ago. We spent so much money. We got burned so many different times. We learned about intellectual property. We learned about software, who owns the codes for the software. You can spend $100,000, $200,000 on a website and then later find out that you don't even own the software, that, you just basically own the site. And that becomes a huge burden for a lot of people, because, who wants to lose even 50,000, I mean, that's a lot of money. Yeah. So, when we first built our site, we lost a lot of money. We didn't know a lot of things. We got burned. We got used, I feel like. And I made one thing that I will say is I made sure, because I don't like when people take advantage of other people. So I made sure that somehow I was not going to, go through that again, and that I was going to either teach people how to, not get burned, building a site or building software. And it's been quite the ride. I mean, I've been studying digital marketing and websites and funnels and all that stuff, even video advertisement for like the last 6 years on a daily basis. I mean, I literally work about 14 to maybe 17-hour days. At least it feels that way. So yeah, you guys definitely need to, as a business owner, or even, somebody out there who's working for a law office, you want to learn everything you can about sales, marketing, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to get you to the next level. And as a business owner, you want to make sure that you understand how digital marketing works to an extent, and you want to make sure that the person that you hire or the company that you hire, you want to make sure that they know what they're talking about. One thing that I used to do was I'd hire like a virtual assistant who was an expert at marketing and digital media. And then that person was the one who would help me hire, the different companies to build certain, different sites for clients, or, put together different marketing campaigns on Facebook and all that stuff. It needs to be somebody who knows the language. If you don't know the language, you will get taken advantage of. That's the unfortunate part about marketing and advertisement. There's only so many good people out there. So you want to make sure.
And I think so, kind of to legalize the conversation, it's kind of like when we hire translators for people that don't speak English. We obviously have to do our research on the translators, make sure that they speak the correct dialect, because we all know that Spanish itself, there's different types of dialects in Spanish. Same goes for French. Creole is not the same as French from Canada or French from France. So all these different languages out there, we obviously have to do our research, make sure it's the correct translator, but we're dependent on that translator to make sure that they're providing us with the correct translation. So kind of doing your research, it kind of goes general, right, across the board, really making sure that you do your research just as much as you would hiring a provider, hiring a translator, court reporter, so on and so forth. You want to make sure that when you're hiring someone to really take your business to the next level, whether that's through business consultancy or through marketing and advertisement, really know the basics and the foundation of whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, right? So it's kind of like a meeting. You come in, you already have the agenda, you already kind of have the vision, you just want them to implement it, and then obviously add their 2 cents and be like, that's not really a realistic expectation. Let us take it further. Let us take it down. If this is your budget, that's definitely out of the question. We're going to have to work a little bit. So, knowing a little something and being prepared for that quote unquote meeting is really going to set you aside and really put you in that next level, understanding that, okay, at least I know what the hell they're talking about, right? Like, what is a sales funnel? Like, I have no idea. I'm not going to just sit here in the middle of the meeting, like Googling all these terms. Like, you want to at least know what they're talking about. So kind of put yourself in kind of like a client's shoes when you go legal on them. And they're like, I have no idea what you just said. Can you just kind of like bring it down a notch and explain it to me like a human? So really understanding that that's how you're going to feel if you don't kind of put your research in. At least that's what I took from that. So
absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
Awesome. So I think D4A is it's a great I guess reliever of a gap, right? We have to make sure that with everything else that we have in business, unfortunately, we have a lot of other things, aside from the administrative portions of it. We have to make sure that our business is consistently growing, in a healthy manner. And advertisement and marketing has a lot to do with that. If people don't know you exist, they're not going to come to you. And although word of mouth is amazing and actually one of the best compliments that a business owner can have, it is only going to take you so far, especially if you want to go nationwide, global, whatever your expectations or your goals are, 5-10 year goals. So I think anyway, D4A is on to something, and I'm really happy that you came on, specifically to talk about this world that's really unknown, especially to legal professionals. So I appreciate you highlighting what goes into all of that and kind of the ins and outs of it. And of course, we're not going to ask for any more secrets, but thank you for the tips that you did give out. And then, so it was great having you on. I appreciate everything you did. And
if there's anything I could ever do to help, any suggestions, or anybody have any questions or want me to guide them through the right way, I'd be more than happy to. Honestly, I'm here to help. I really enjoy it. It fulfills me inside, and keep going hard, keep grinding every day, no matter what. Trust me, you'll push through everything in life.
Love it. Never give up. Awesome. Thank
Exactly.
you so much, Jean Paul. You have a good one. And until justice is served, guys, I'll be here. Bye.